emotional Tom Fitzgerald sharing his story with the NHL general managers alongside the insiders Darren Dreger, Pierre LeBrun, and Chris Johnson. And I think the important thing here, guys, with what Tom Fitzgerald shared with the other GMs was he wasn't merely sharing his story as a general manager, but as a father, as a parent.
Yeah, no question, Gino, and he was emotional in the room. I think he was choked up afterwards talking to a lot of us about it, and he had a message to share. And it's not really a room that needs convincing, but it reinforces the message that the league has got to get to a place where players are wearing neck guards. And it's not just a hockey father and a GM, but also someone who sits on the cut-resistant equipment committee for the NHL since last year. So really a trifecta in terms of how this has affected Tom Fitzgerald and how he feels passionately about this issue. And the final point I'll make on that is that he said he knows that the NHLPA won't be happy about this, but he's let the PA know he intends to mandate it on his own team in New Jersey. He wants his players wearing neck guards.
Well, and look, those discussions continue to happen with the NHL and the NHLPA. And, there's also CBA talks going on, so there's a lot happening right now in the sport. But there's still an opportunity and a potential that perhaps cut-resistant equipment is mandated as soon as next season. Now, that would be grandfathered in, of course, for any new player entering the league, similar to what happened with visors a decade or so ago. But that is at least still on the table at this point in time. And, I think it's inevitable at this point. To me, it's a matter of when, not if. Right. When it comes to this, we've seen already so much more equipment worn by players. It's already mandated in the AHL, the ECHL, international play. It is coming to the NHL. But I could, at this point, he might not have to do it in New Jersey because there's still a chance it happens in the NHL very soon.
Yeah, and the NHL wrapped up its exercise on goalie interference. Man, we've spent a lot of time talking about that here and over the years. But I do applaud hockey operations for their level of transparency. And some of the clips that we talked about on Monday were voted on by the general managers. And so they gave us the tally, and it turned out that they looked at 54 examples of goaltender interference. The NHL general managers who were polled agreed with 52 of those 54, one of those unanimously, and that was Alex DeBrincat of the Detroit Red Wings, got called for goalie interference against the Minnesota Wild in February. So we'll see where it goes from here, but you have agreement from the general managers, you have agreement with the league. Now they've got to get the coaches and the goaltenders on side, and we know that the coaches and the GMs will meet with the NHL, and that'll be a big topic in September.
A couple of international hockey notes as well today, gentlemen.
Yeah, so the NHL and NHLPA still haven't finalized their Olympic deal for the games in Italy, although everyone expects that to get done. But in the meantime, we found out that there are roster deadlines that are now being communicated to all the countries. June 15th is a deadline for each country to name 6 players. And then the rest of the roster gets named by December 31st. And the relevance of that is that no one was happy they had to announce by December 4th the Four Nations roster. Right. They got 4 extra weeks here with December 31st.
USA Hockey meeting here in Florida. Hockey Canada wrapped up their meetings, a review of the Four Nations face-off. But they're also now planning ahead and looking at the orientation sessions, which will be held this summer in Calgary for the men's Olympic team, the women's, and the Paralympics. So a lot of work getting done.
And before we get to the Olympics, we've still got a men's world championship to be held May in Sweden. And well, not confirmed at this time, it does sound as though Kyle Dubas likely to be Canada's GM for that event. He's part of the Olympic team as an assistant GM. He was at the Worlds last year and part of the Four Nations, so a bump up for Dubas.
They are the insiders, Darren Dreger, Pierre LeBrun, and Chris Johnson in Palm Beach, Florida.